Thank you all for joining us for the Find Your Leadership Voice workshop. Joining us today is Dr. Jake Levengood, Senior Assistant Director, the Graduate Student Career Services at MIT. He'll be guiding us to learn how to better communicate, discover our strengths, and how to develop our own leadership voice. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Levengood now, and he'll get us started.
Thanks so much, Jess. I appreciate it. And can you still hear me okay? Awesome. It's so great to be with you all here, well, this afternoon for you, this evening for me, and on this topic. It's very important and near and dear to us as we adapt to all these different changing circumstances in our life and in our world. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with you all, and we will get going. So let's see here. All right. Okay. So there's going to be a little bit of interaction today. We might have some fun along the way and learn and apply how leadership can be influenced in our lives. So like Jess mentioned, I'm Jake Levengood. I am a graduate of UNLV. I did my PhD in higher ed leadership and got that in 2012 and have worked across the country, was currently at MIT, and I'm going to be starting a new position at the University of Chicago next week at the Booth School of Business. I've worked in higher ed since 2005 in a variety of areas and just really enjoy helping people be more insightful into themselves and how they can be better leaders and advance their careers. Along the way, I decided to do some workshops using improv comedy. And improv comedy is an unscripted art form that is a vehicle for learning. And it's, you may think of it in terms of the show Whose Line Is It Anyway, or people that work in Second City, or some of the improv shows on the Strip as well in Las Vegas. But improv is a great tool for learning, and we're going to do a little bit of that here today. I found that students in general, especially graduate students and also people in non-linear settings, find that they're uncomfortable, and it's an unscripted setting, a lot like improv. And so I started doing these improv sessions at MIT, and in doing that, various people heard about them. So we have different identities. I'm my professional self at MIT, but I also do improv on the side at places like Improv Boston, in Central Square in Cambridge. And so doing this is quite enjoyable for me, so I can exercise some creative sides of myself. I did these workshops at MIT and others heard about it. So I've done more than 60 of these at MIT with different student groups, graduate students, undergraduate students, staff, and then other people heard about it too. So they invited me to their campus. So I've done workshops with these organizations as well, mostly on the East Coast, but also some in Texas and presentations at national conferences too. So this is what we're going to do today. We want to connect improv skills to successful leadership and communication, apply those improv areas to leadership and your leadership style and voice, and then reflect on those and be able to learn more and be more insightful to yourself. I think of leadership as a skill. It's not like you're born an effective leader. Leadership is a skill that has to be practiced and ideated upon and well honed in your life. So a lot like improv, that's a skill. Like, to be better at it, you have to practice. You have to, or a musician or an athlete, you have to practice. And so I hope that you'll have some takeaways today to help you thinking about, to help you get you thinking about leadership in an effective way. All right, so I will let you know that I'm going to do a little bit of an activity here with you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment here. All right, and you can do this activity with your camera on if you would like, or if you want to keep your camera off, that's fine too. We're going to do an activity called Three People. And so where you are at in your home, your office, wherever you are at, this activity will mirror the ideas of the importance of taking on different roles in our lives. And so, you know what, let's go ahead and share this screen again. I'll show you a tool that you can use in your trainings. It's called Wheel Decide. So can you see this okay, Jess? Let's see, just move this down, this over, there we go. All right, so this is an activity where I'm gonna spin the wheel, and what we'll do is we will act like some of these characters together. So improv is about character development, testing and trying, and putting yourself out there. And in doing this, you have to sometimes embody an area that you may be uncomfortable with, or the confident leader in an unfamiliar setting. And so when I spin this wheel, it'll go on to different characters and we will act like some of those characters. For example, if we were to be one of those wavy creatures that advertise a sale, like at a Halloween store or a car dealership, we would all act like one of those wavy creatures. If we act like an archer, we would act like an archer. And so in doing that, we'll all just kind of have some fun playfulness here together. So let's go ahead and spin this wheel. I will model that goofiness for you and that silliness. So let's see what we have here in our wheel of fun on 3 people. It's an awesome rock band. So play your favorite rock band instrument. Maybe it's a guitar, maybe it's a keyboard, you're playing the drums. All right. We're all in this together. Yeah, let's go ahead and our second person we are going to act like is, oh, we're sad soccer players. Nobody wants to kick me the ball. Boop. And our third person we're going to play is, we're cheering on runners. Maybe it's a marathon. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, give yourselves a round of applause. Nice job. So this idea that we're in it together is really what leadership is about. Leadership isn't about being the best person, about being in improv, it's not about being the funniest person. But leadership is about empowering people to be the best that they can be. And along the way, leadership is difficult. There are 1,000 leadership theories. I did my dissertation on leadership in career offices at UNLV, and in that lit review, something like in the 1950s there were something like 60,000 articles about leadership, and this was in the 1960s, peer-reviewed articles about leadership. So there are many theories out there. It can take many forms, and the idea is that leadership is difficult. This quote embodies that from James Kouzes, the author of The Leadership Challenge, of which we'll talk some more about here in a moment. But the idea is that leadership is very arduous and steep, and it's exhausting, it's frustrating, you can become disenchanted, and it's hard and it's easy to give up because it is so hard. The idea of being genuine and authentic and connecting with others can really help people move forward, especially in times when people need it the most. When people have doubts, when there's not a clear path forward, which is oftentimes the case, it's important for us to make connections with people and really invest in them. And so today we're going to talk about some of those areas of leadership, 5 exemplary practices that Kouzes and Posner propose in their theory. And we're going to do some breakout rooms to simulate some of these ideas of leadership. Then we're going to come back and talk about them. So I mentioned the idea of improv. These are some of my favorite improvisational comedians. Shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? The Upright Citizens Brigade in New York City with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. So improv is unscripted. You build your way forward. It's not like stand-up comedy where you have a very well-timed and rehearsed set of jokes. But improv is creating something from nothing. And so you build your way forward on stage by using this idea of yes and. Yes and is agreeing to somebody else's reality and then building off of that. So for example, if Jess were to say to me, all of a sudden we start a scene and we get a suggestion from the audience and it's professor's office. And then, Jess starts a scene and says, I really want to talk with you about your final exam. All of a sudden we know that, Jess is a professor and I'm a student and we're at the end of the semester. And so we build on that through the ideas of agreeing and knowing who we are to one another. We also have to build that relationship through listening and connecting. And believe you me, when you do improv on stage, there's a lot of doubt, and you just kind of have to build your way forward by connecting with others and adapting, and really, using some physical comedy, faking it till you make it, or faking it till you become it, and taking action and building your way forward when you're unsure. And what we're going to do is apply these to some leadership ideas. I want to clarify one thing about management versus leadership. Sometimes people will use these terms synonymously, but they're important and they're connected to one another, but they're not the same. And I lived in Boston for 10 years. I now live in Chicago. And let me give you an idea of what management is versus leadership. So in Boston, there is a train system called the MBTA, or the T. And in that, you take very outdated trains that were supposed to have been changed in the 80s. And so management is keeping the trains on time, which rarely happened in Boston. So what you wanted to do is keep the trains running. You can be reliable in this area and be able to then have the management so that everything is running smoothly. Think of it like an event. So if you're doing events, the management is the logistics of the event. Leadership, on the other hand, in this analogy with the train system, is creating a new fleet of trains. What is the strategy? What does the ideal train system look like? Maybe it's modernizing the train system. Maybe it's the vision. And so those are the leadership concepts versus keeping the trains on time. For an event in that comparison, the idea is, well, what do we want this event to be? What do we want the feel of it to be? What do we want people to leave with? What takeaways? What learning objectives? What feel? What vision do we want? So leadership is the higher level strategy, visioning versus the implementation piece. Now, both are very, very effective and important, and you can't have one without the other. But I want to frame this in the right way, that leadership is about visioning versus keeping the trains on time. So like I mentioned, there are many, many leadership theories out there. I want to focus on one here tonight. It's called the 5 Practices of Exemplary Leadership by Kozis and Posner. What they did is they looked for qualities of workers, and they asked them what qualities are going to be effective for leadership. And the first one that comes up is enabling others to act. So this is not about being the best person doing the most things. It's about collaboration and building a spirit of teamwork. It's about strengthening others and building trust. Encouraging the heart to recognize people and their contributions, to recognize and help people feel like they are accomplishing and contributing, and they're being heroes. Not just you being the hero as a leader, but every team member is a hero. Modeling the way. Now, when I say this, you may think of people in your life that do this well or not effectively at all. So effective leaders show and practice what they preach. They model the behavior they want to see in others, and they create opportunities for success. They don't hoard all the glory. They distribute the glory to the team, and they help others by acting in the way they want to see others. They inspire a shared vision, through being magnetic and having a good personality. One of the quotes I've seen about leadership from Barry Posner says, "Who would want to follow somebody who is dull, tired, and boring?" Now, I know we've all had a lot of dull, tired, and boring feelings in the past year, but one of the things we can do is to try to model the way to be vulnerable in this crazy time we're in, to enact others and help them be the best they can be during this weird time. A shared vision is breathing life into visions. Maybe it's about the possibilities of what your student group can be, what your lab can be, what your organization can be. They also challenge the process. Now, this isn't being challenging or confrontational. This is really trying things out, overcoming failure, testing and trying, and taking a continuous improvement approach versus, we're either good at something or we're bad at something. So we are now going to do an activity. I'm going to stop sharing here. And let me show you here what, let me bring over here what this is. Okay. So we're going to use a shared whiteboard called Jamboard, which is affiliated with Google. And what I want to do is put this in the chat. So in your browser, go to this site on Jamboard. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see this happening too. I want you to just kind of test this out for right now. So this is our test board. What we're going to do is we're going to break you into groups. And then you are going, if you're in group 1, you'll go to this group. You know, group 2, you'll go to this one. And you do that by just sliding up at the top. But everybody has access to this Jamboard. So you can go in and you can add a picture. Maybe you type, hello. So if you want to, go ahead and add something to the Jamboard just to test it out. Oh, looky there, we have a hi. Hello there. All of a sudden, I'm very like North Dakota-like or Minnesotan. All right. So we can add shapes to, oh, it's a circle. Looky there. Oh, we have a football player. Nice. Got a heart. Got a big old funny face on there. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, you can move it around. Very, very cool. All right, so this is a perfect test Jamboard to just kind of get the idea of what you can do with this. So what you're going to do is you are going to be put in breakout rooms here in a moment. And I'm going to put this in the chat as I stop sharing here. I want to go ahead and put the directions for what you're going to be doing. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be in a group of 2 to 5 people. You're going to create a piece of shared artwork using the Jamboard. Yeah, in that same link, whatever group number you're in, go to that corresponding number. And I want you to create a piece of shared artwork like you're at a museum. This could be anything. It's just up to you. And then you'll have about 10 minutes. And then you'll have somebody, we'll come back to the group, and then you'll share your artwork with people like you're a docent at a museum. You're sharing this fine piece of artwork with everyone. Looks like everybody might be back, right?
Yes.
Is everybody back? Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. I popped into each room, and each room had its own feel, its own energy, its own style, how you communicated this. So let's go ahead and check in with our group here. So our first group on the Jamboard, who would like to discuss this and just kind of let us know what this is about? No right or wrong answers. No problem at all. Just to let us know your thinking and how you got to this beautiful piece of art in group 1.
So I guess we're looking at the end goal of what we were trying to do, which is to graduate. And so to get to that point, we have to be positive and have these positive affirmations to ourselves. So that's
Sure.
where we went.
I might share my screen so then the recording can capture this too. That is awesome.
Cool. I love that. Yes.
That is very cool. So I'm just wondering, how did you get to this point where what kind of tone did it have, and how did you get to this topic?
We just kind of played around. We were all just kind of tossing out ideas, and the idea came up, hey, well, we want to be leaders. We want to have great leadership skills. And so that's what this degree is about, just taking it and running to the sun, just taking off to the, sky. So if the end result is to graduate and lead, let's do something around that,
That's very cool. So what tone did this have? in your group?
Fun, exciting, interesting, because Jamboard was fun, and the fact that we were all able to contribute and there was no wrong answer. It's just like when I see this graduation hat in leading, what does that make me feel like? What do I think of? So very engaging.
Very cool. Let's see. I'm going to put the exemplary practices of leadership on the chat so everybody can hear it or see it rather. So these are the different leadership practices that they identify. Enable others to act, encourage the heart. In group one, did you see any of these coming to play? And anybody can answer from group one. No right or wrong answers, just your thoughts.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I was just wondering if you saw any of these 5 leadership practices kind of in play in your interactions.
Oh, okay. I can't see it. Anybody else from the group want to answer?
Yeah, I think like for me, I saw like April was able to take some leadership and kind of get everyone moving in one direction. So I think that was showing these.
Very cool. Very cool. So kind of encouraging people's contributions, enabling them to act and kind of getting people going.
Correct, right.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, you know what? Let's give everybody in group one a round of applause. Nice job. Nice job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We're the best. We're number one.
Let's move over to group two. So this is group two. Beautiful piece of artwork as well. Who wants to let us know what this is about from group two?
I'll speak for group two.
Cool.
We were having difficulties contributing because only one person had access to the Jamboard.
Oh, I'm sorry that
So,
happened. Well, you certainly had to adapt, didn't you?
yeah, so we had to really work together and throw in ideas. So yeah, we have a car eating flower over here.
A car eating flower. Cool.
It doesn't eat Toyotas though. No Toyotas.
Very selective.
And yeah, so that's what we have to present.
Nice, nice. So I'm curious when you realized that not everybody could use the Jamboard, and I apologize that that was the case. But let's say, how did you work through that? How did you communicate about that?
James, I hope I got your name right. James is the one who actually had access to the Jamboard, so he was discussing like with us like what to do and what you can like opening up the floor to contribute ideas of what to create.
Okay. And so he was kind of the embodiment of people's ideas, for like, maybe put this here or whatever.
Yeah, because I have no clue
Okay.
what was happening, so I was like, can you explain the process of like what it looks like on your end?
I see. Well, that does bring up some interesting challenges, doesn't it? Where you can't see it. So being able to communicate what's being done, what's being said. So I'm guessing I did pop into this group now and then, and I did hear James. James had a very encouraging tone, so that was really cool to kind of get everybody going, and everybody was very collaborative in this group too, as with group one. Let me open it up for discussion with group two. Did you see any of these leadership concepts that are in the chat kind of come into play at all? No right or wrong answers here.
I think James very much embodied encourage the heart and like recognizing or encouraging everyone to contribute and recognizing the work we did.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's give group two a round of applause. Nice job. Nice job. Woohoo. And we have our final group, group three. So I popped into each group, and I didn't catch group 3 at the start. So group 3, if there's somebody there who wants to let us know what you're thinking and kind of how you got started, and just to let us know what this is all about.
We also had a few people who were on their phone, so they couldn't contribute
I see.
in the
I
same
see.
way. They still contributed. And so I shared my screen so that they could at least see what was going on the board for the two of us who could draw on the board. So there was still, we didn't talk verbally, but we talked on the chat. And so it started out like kind of just, I put in a post-it, we're leading with style. I don't know, I thought it would be like a funny little saying.
Yeah, I love it.
And you know, we started getting like a couple people were drawing things, and I was like, what's going on with this little girl in the corner? Or this little kid that's just like
Oh, on
hanging
the
out
bottom
there.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was Liling or Leeling. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. Or somebody said it was, I said it looked like Angelica from Rugrats. And so we're like, we went with that.
Nice.
And I put in the Women's Leadership Symposium because I looked up like women in leadership. I study gender and I do sociology, and I'm also a woman. And so I often think about the gender aspect of leading and how, you know, some people are more encouraged to lead than others. And, you know, that we need to see more representation in leadership. Someone, I don't know who said what in the group, so I'm sorry if I don't call their name out for it, but someone drew a leaf. They said it was a sustainability, and it looks like they went and crossed it out after. I didn't see that until just now. And they wrote humility. So I guess like being able to change your mind or done this differently. And I went kind of with the sustainability, but also like the leadership mentorship thing with this image on the left, where someone's like watering the other person and their plant is growing. And then I just started putting some words around mentor, lead, try. So our group worked together considering the circumstances, and we at least chatted in the chat, even if we didn't talk verbally. So I had fun. I hope that they had fun doing it or watching it.
Great.
And I do want to use this with my classes in the future because I like Jamboard now.
Yeah, and it's I mean, if you have a Google account, it's very as you do. I think all UNLV students have Google, right? Is it still in Google Gmail? So yeah, that's really handy and very collaborative. And I'm very impressed by how each group adapted to the needs of each person. You know, this group, had a lot of group members that were on their phone, so you know, it was a very quiet group. I did go into this group and I was like, oh, I hope everybody's okay. And I didn't realize everything, the context. And so I'm very thankful that you found a way to do this in a meaningful way that everybody could be involved. So that is awesome. And yeah, it sounds like you did show quite a few of those leadership concepts. Did any come to mind for our group members in group 3? Yeah, that are listed in the chat with those 5 practices. All right. Well, I will tell you one that I noticed was challenge the process, which is continuous improvement, trying things, overcoming challenges. So I give this group a big round of applause as well. Nice job. Nice job. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing here for a moment, and let's go back over to this. So we have a few more minutes left in our time here together this evening. And let's see what we should do. Okay. All right. So I am going to do, so those of you that are on your phone, if I share my screen in this way, I'm going to share it here in a moment. Can you see the menti.com poll? Okay. So what I want you to do is to go to menti.com. I'm going to launch this poll, and I just want to get your thoughts about what your most important takeaway has been so far in our time together. So if you go to menti.com and use this code, you can then, it'll show up anonymously and it'll show up live while we're meeting together. Let's see, and then the code is, I'll put it in there, 9126291. Okay, thanks, Jess. We think alike. So no right or wrong answers, just whatever you think. It's anonymous. All right, we'll wait, give some people some time here.
Yeah, well, we wait for folks sharing their thoughts or their takeaway. If it's cool, I'd like to share something that I even wrote down, Dr. Levin. Good. I
Yeah,
wrote the
yeah, sure.
Yeah, the concept of yes and when you were sharing about like improv, that really got me thinking like it's a practice, obviously not just for improv and what you do for fun, but I could see that even bleeding into and being productive as a leader and as a colleague. It's an activity that's almost forcing you to incorporate the ideas of others and really promoting collaboration, even when it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I really appreciate those thoughts, Jess. Absolutely. I've used yes and more in the past year than I have uh, probably any other concept. The idea that you embrace the serendipity of what's happening, acknowledge the reality of what you're going through, by the way, not just, you know, saying, oh, no big deal. You acknowledge what's going on and what the reality is, and you work through it. Um, so yeah, these are awesome takeaways. You know, we're not born leaders. It's a skill to challenge the process. Everyone has obstacles. Helping overcome challenges. Leadership involves active, continuous effort and practice. Absolutely, definitely. Those are great takeaways. It's important for leaders to be able to adapt. 100%. Um, yeah, the breakout sessions, positive and encouraging. Absolutely, definitely. These are all great takeaways. And, in finding our leadership voice, we have to know ourselves. We have to know what we're scared to do, what we're excited to do, what we fear doing. We need to know our values and who we are. That's where this is a really nice crossover with career development, because the same is true with your career. If you know yourself, what your interests, skills, and values are, then you can translate those into and use them as decision-making filters for what careers you might be exploring. And same thing with this. If you know your values, especially as a leader, those could be filters for your career and your decision making, whether it's a career decision or a decision with a team member or moving forward. So, I think that's important to know too. So finding your voice in leadership is really an ongoing process of knowing who you are and who you want to be and what you want your group to be. We have a second question. It's using the same code, but are there any leadership or improv concepts that you connected with you the most and what came most natural to you? And the concepts of the leadership are in the chat that you can refer back to. Those with improv or yes and, listening, connecting with others, faking it till you make it. right. One person saying that kind of encouraging the heart, that it's about others. Yeah, in recognizing contributions of others. Yeah, connecting with others. There's a lot in life of fake it till you make it. I will tell you, when I started at MIT, I had the biggest imposter syndrome. Um, all of a sudden I'm working with rocket scientists and, people who are just brilliant. Yeah, and I've been successful in my career, but I've never thought of myself as brilliant. So we're overcoming your own doubts, seeing what unique value you can do to help others. And I learned very quickly at MIT, I can help others with their communication and overcome their doubts. And, they're not perfect people, so working and partnering with them. They're awesome people, but not perfect people. They're awesome like you. Inspiring a shared vision. Yeah, enabling others to act, connecting and listening. Yeah. Inspiring a shared vision is definitely something that we can work on. I think sometimes higher ed is really good at this idea of shared governance, and that's a shared vision. So gathering opinions from different perspectives, from a 360 perspective, from different points of view, and letting people know what your thoughts are. These are my thoughts about what a vision could be, and I want to collaborate with you using yes and, to build upon it and make it better. So those are great. Those are great. All right. Nice job. So we have one more Menti poll here. And in the free version of Menti, you get 2 slides. So that's why I'm shifting over to this one. Sorry, Menti.com. So are there any leadership practices you would like to improve? Or are there any areas of leadership that you would like to improve? I definitely know some, and I will put them in here as well. So this is a different code. So I will, because I am thrifty, you could say, oh, look at that. Thank you. Thank you, Jess, for putting that in there. So let's go to Menti, and I will add some here as well. All right, it's got a couple more moments here. Yeah, enabling others to act and modeling the way. Yeah, sometimes our values can, they're important, but sometimes we can be too hard on ourselves. Yeah, so like the first person here, they want to be better at challenging the process, and kind of that could be overcoming failures, that could be crafting and challenging in an effective way, but not being too hard on yourself. We think of it like a continuum. Maybe your leadership is a 1 to 10 concept, and maybe you feel like you're whatever number that could be. Maybe it's a 6 or 7, and you want to be an 8 or 9. So it's always going to be an iterative process. Yeah, challenging the process can be very scary. I agree. Because but if you use these other concepts to balance that out, so if you see this as a partnership, that challenging of the process can be actually seen as a joint effort. I come to you with some ideas. I want this to be improved. And so if you see that as a collaboration, it's going to actually be beneficial for everybody. Let's see, we've got a couple of, all right, thanks for putting the feedback survey there, Jess.
I do
yeah, go ahead, Jess. Yeah.
Questions, if that's okay. I think we have time
Great.
for at least
Love
one
it.
or two.
Yeah, sure.
So one student asks, how do I deal with different stereotypes and labels that may come about me with being a direct leader. For example, being a stern woman may be considered bossy.
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge that each of us has a point of view and a perspective and a background, who we are culturally and what we identify as. So all of my answers are from the perspective of who I am. I'm a white male, and as a white male, I recognize I have certain privileges that that others don't have. Unfortunately, you're absolutely right in this question that people have stereotypes about people. I think it's what I would recommend doing. It's such a unique aspect for each person. I recommend finding people that are mentors to work through these challenges. I don't think there's one right way to proceed and be effective as a leader to work through stereotypes. I think it's important to it may motivate us to model the way even more so if we're fighting stereotypes about gender, racism, whatever it may be, sexual orientation, whatever it is. And so if we model those behaviors that we want to see in others, it motivates us to do that, regardless of how others feel about us. But when I feel like there are people that may put me in a box, I'm motivated to be better. And so I think it's important to find mentors in your life that can be sounding boards, like a board of directors that you can talk with. That could be a professor, it could be a colleague, it could be a friend, it could be someone within UNLV, somebody in your peer group, people that you trust. It could be a religious leader, but people that can help you and work through these specific challenges that you're facing, I think can be very important.
Yeah, really exhausting our resources, especially on campus, right?
Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of them. It sometimes may feel like too much.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Levengood, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us today, and your creativity, really. And thank you to all our participants for joining, for engaging, for your creativity as well. Before you all log off, I shared in the group chat, I'll share it one more time, there you go. If you could please fill out, it's a quick workshop feedback survey, dropped it in the chat. It means so much to us, and it really will help us improve the workshops that we provide for our Grad Rebel family. I hope everyone has a great rest of your evening and a great week. Thank you again, Dr. Levengood.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you, Jess, and have a great night to everybody.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.